Hey guys, Barbara here. Welcome to Bear Pantry Talk. I am so excited today because this is the long-awaited sewing tutorial video. Joe and I are going to show you how we make this little messenger bag. Let's get right into it. The first thing that I want you guys to know is that I know nothing about sewing, okay? So I'm the perfect person to teach it, all right? Take a look at what you'll need for this messenger bag. You're gonna need 4 pieces like this, 2 for the outer and 2 for the inside, and it's gonna be a reversible bag, so pick something pretty that will go, okay? Make sure they match. So this is 11 by 11. This is also 11 by 11. So 4 pieces the same size. We're gonna use batting. Cut the batting. Look at this batting, see? It feels like something you would put inside of a blanket. When we started to sew, we had to learn all this stuff. It's not fusible, meaning you can't iron it on. So just cut it to match the outside. 2 pieces, see? So that's 4 pieces. That's for the main body of the bag. This is for the flap. Because this is 11, this has to be 10, because it has to go on the inside. So 10 by 6, 2 pieces. 1 for the outside, 1 for the inside. And when I learned to make this bag, the lady that was teaching did not put an inside pocket, but I went and watched one of her other videos to learn the technical part of doing this, because I wanted this bag to have an inside zip pocket, okay? Well, it's actually inside when it's on, that side, but it reverses, so then the zip becomes outside. So the pockets, because we're going to use a 7-inch zip, the opening for the zip is going to be 6, so you need space on the outside to actually like sew the pocket shut. So the pocket is 8 by 6. So just make the pocket as big as you want it to be, but don't overpower the bag. And then you need 2 buttons, 1 for the inside, 1 for the outside, so make sure it matches. See, like what I'm going to do is reverse this, like put the pink on this side and put the yellow on that side to make it pop. All right, so the first thing that you have to do after you do all the cutting, by the way, do not cut with scissors. I was trying to cut with scissors when I was first learning. Cut with that wheel. Go buy your board and cut with the wheel. So cut out a piece of paper like this, 2 by 2, because what we're going to do to start is stack all these pieces together. And then we're going to set this in the corners and cut out the corners, all right? So let's begin. We're going to cut the 2-inch square from the bottom of the bag. So if you're using a different fabric than I'm using, make sure that it's not upside down, okay? This bag uses 1 long strap, and I make it from canvas. I've cut it 4 inches wide by 42 inches long, and all I'm doing is ironing down right in the middle to make a line like this, and then I'm going to make the 2 ends meet and iron again. I don't just want to fold the fabric and sew one side and then invert it, all right? I want to make this very sturdy, so that's why I'm folding it this way. So after I make these halves meet, I just go ahead and fold it 1 more time, and that will give us the width of our strap. Then Joe's going to sew it down the open side first, and then he's going to sew up the other side to make it look even. So if you're not good at sewing straight lines, sew the same color thread with the fabric, with the color fabric. But Joe is getting better and better at making lines, straight lines, so he did yellow on gray. And he's using yellow because of this pattern right here. So let's work on the outside, the pretty sides together along with the batting on each side. Pin it, and Joe's going to sew down the sides and across the bottom, but he's not going to close up the gap that we just cut out, all right? So see to the left of your screen. Now let me go ahead and pin the seams close, because Joe's going to sew across here now to make the box shape for the bag. So you want to make sure that these seams are kind of laying in the same direction for each ends, all right? And don't stick yourself while you're pinning, because that's kind of like the hardest thing for me to do. I always stab myself. So Joe's going to sew across the top here and then invert it. Look, we're checking for gaps, make sure the batting's not peeking out, and here the outside part of the bag is done. So simple so far, right? Now let's work on the pocket for inside. I'm using erasable pen or erasable marker to make a line that sits centrally on the pocket itself. So 1 inch from this end, 1 inch from this end, and 1.5 inches from the top. Make a straight line 6 inches wide, or 6 inches long, I guess, and then come down 1/2 inch on each end, because we're going to make a rectangular box to make an opening for the zipper, all right? So let me make my other line here. If you're confused so far, don't worry, because it's going to make sense. Close in the sides of the box, And then I'm going to go ahead and make a straight line right down the middle of the box, and then make these little Y-shaped things here. This is to make sure that the zip will lie really flat and evenly. So now take a look at how we do this pocket. We're gonna make sure that the bag, the liner of the bag, is on the pretty side is showing, and then just flip over the pocket and make sure that it's sitting centrally, 1.5 inches from each side and 1.5 inch from the top. I'm just gonna go ahead and pin it so that it's easy for Joe to sew, and he's just gonna sew with a very small stitch right around this box. See, it's done. Now all I need is to get my little scissors. Well, this is the smallest pair of scissors I have. Make a hole right on the line, the line that's in the middle, and cut straight right down the line. And when I get to the ends, I want to cut into the little Y-shaped things that I did as close as I can to the sewing, but not cutting the thread, all right? So all this is to make sure that the zip fits in there very beautifully. So I just push the pockets through the hole. Well, not the pockets, the one pocket. Iron it. See, it's looking good already, right? The pocket's on the inside, and we started on the outside. Magic, guys. The two pieces for the flaps need to be interfaced, and we use this craft fuse iron-on, okay? Everybody that I watch on the internet, they never tell you what they use, or they tell you and they expect for you to know what it is. That's what we use from Walmart. So just let me go ahead and cut out these two pieces, and then we'll iron on to the fabric. Here's the interfacer, guys. The shiny side is what adheres to the fabric, but Joe normally takes care of this for me because I really suck at ironing it on. I don't think I hold the iron long enough because I don't have the patience for it. So I'm just going to go ahead and handle the zip. So the zip is 7 inches long. The opening is 6 inches wide. You always want to make sure you go 1 inch less for your opening, all right? And I'm just testing it to see how it's going to slide. And what I have to do for this is base stitch it on. So the first thing I do is sew the top of the zip shut. Just a couple of stitches. So I close it up because it makes it easier to base stitch it on, okay? And I'm using a pretty long stitch or wide stitch because I want to be able to remove it easily. So when I use fabric glue, like the lady on YouTube said to do, it doesn't stay. The zip falls apart, and then Joe has a hard time sewing it. So this takes a little bit extra time, but in the long run, it'll make for neater work. So when I'm done here, I'm going to test it first to make sure it can slide, of course. Make sure I didn't like trap any of the fabric in there. And then Joe's using the zipper foot to go ahead and sew the zip in here. And then now it's time for me to remove my base stitching. That's why I make it so big, because I want to be able to see it and take it out easily. And then we're going to sew in my label. And voila, that's done. And now it's time to seal up this pocket. So pretty sides together, and then pin it. And Joe is going to sew all the way around, the sides, the bottom, and the top. See? Magic, it's done, guys. So this part's done. So this is the inside of the bag. Open the zip. See? Pretty lining, pretty lining. No wrong side. We assemble the lining just like the outside. I'm just going to go ahead and pin it. Joe's going to sew down the two sides and then across the bottom, but he's not going to close in the gap just yet. Now for the flap, I'm going to put a dot right in the middle with my erasable marker, and then go up 1 inch on the sides to put little dots, because now I'm going to use my ruler to draw a diagonal line from the side dots to meet the middle one. And we only have to do it on the one piece of the flap, because what we're going to do is just set this on top of the other one. See the line here? And we're just going to cut. And you can curve off the tip if you want to. Put the pretty sides together, sew all the way around except for the top part, because we have to flip it over. And then now Joe's going to do top sew on the flipped over portion of the flap. It's looking nice already. So what Joe and I discovered while making these little bags, right? Sometimes you're inside the correct seam allowance, but when you drop the lining in the bag, the lining is still too big, and then it gives you a hard time to sew around. So what we did is before we sew up this end right here, let me show you. Before we sew this close, we just drop it in and test it. We found out it was too big, so Joe went in and sewed another thing right here, and then we're gonna chop that off. And don't ask me why. Maybe I cut it bad. I try, you know, but remember, we're just learning. We're only like 5 months in. So let Joe cut this off. We're gonna drop this inside the bag, and then Joe's gonna show us how he does his buttonhole. So there's a lot of techniques to this one little bag, guys, because now he has to go make a buttonhole. So this is the part that's very difficult for us to do because we have to line this up exactly, and the batting likes to grow and get in the way and stuff. So I have to pin this, iron it, then I base stitch. Remember that this tutorial is not meant to be really technical, but I do want to show you guys what he's doing to do the buttonhole. He put on the buttonhole foot, and then he's setting something over here to 6, and of course he practices first on a separate piece of cloth. He put the button in the back here in the buttonhole foot holder thingy, so you can make the right size. Thank you to everyone who donated for this machine, because this has been a blessing to help us do this more efficiently. The zip or the zipper is on the back side of the bag, so all I can do right now is pin the two pieces together because I still need to open this up to put the flap in after Joe's done with the buttonhole. So what I've done so far is just sew the straps on here right in the seam and then base stitch the front of the bag. Let me go ahead and remove my pins because I have to put the flap in the back side here. I can't decide if I want it this way or this way, but I'm going to have to ask Joe. Let me go ahead and stick this in. So you guys saw that we debated whether to let this be the outside of this one or to contrast it. And we opted to contrast it. And what I did was just sew the back here. See? Now Joe's going to have to do the best that he can to sew blindly. See? This blinds you. And sometimes you miss it and then you're on here and you didn't sew this at all. So I usually run and hide when this part comes because it's frustrating. But good luck, Joe. Let me go ahead and put the marker straight through the buttonhole because I want to find the right spot to sew on the buttons, okay? So the buttons are gonna go, well, one on the front here and one on the back. So let me just go ahead and get it started. Now let me grab my one button. I'm gonna put the yellow on this side because it's gonna contrast the pink flap really nicely. Then we have to put the pink on this side, and it's a 2-hole button. You kind of want to use the same button on each side, all right? So if you're using 4-hole in the front, use 4-hole in the back. I don't like using the 4 holes though because it's kind of hard to sew. So make sure that it's kind of loose. You know, my mistake when I was starting is that I sewed on the button really tight. Now you want to go through the back when you go through it several times and pull the needle out like this. That's what I'm doing with the scissors. And then just kind of knot it. You want to just twist it like this, go around, pull, twist it again, go around, pull. And I do this like 3 times just to secure the button. Then just go around, cut it, and look, see? Let's close it. Yeah, it's working. The buttonhole's working. Now let me show you Joe's beautiful stitching because he's getting better and better at sewing around the top part. See? Pretty close to the edge, guys. Now because the bag's reversible, let's reverse it. See, the pink button's on this side, but once you close the flap, it contrasts with the yellow. See? We think about everything, don't we? Now let's see if the zip works. Yes, it works. As you can see from these pictures, this bag is reversible. The size is 10.5 by 10.5. Because of the flap and the button, it keeps your stuff very secure. The zippered pocket is on the inside when the bag is on side A. When the bag is on side B, the zippered pocket is on the outside on the rear of the bag, so it stays close to your body and keeps your stuff secure. The strap is strong and long. I made it long because when you put it across your body, I want you to be able to get in the bag easily and for it not to be jammed up under your armpit. I made it strong because because I want you guys to be able to take a lot of stuff in the bag, all right? So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you like it, let me know. I think what I'll do is I'll take the zippered pocket part out and make a different video on that, because I feel like some people might be looking for that by itself, just that one little technique. So if you want to see more stuff like this, let me know and I will do my best to bring these type of tutorials for you every now and then, all right? If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, please share it for me. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys again really soon. Bye-bye.